Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya motisha, bonyeza *811*815#.
Wengi wamelazimika kusitisha ndoto zao kufuatia vigezo na changamoto mbalimbali maishani. Hata hivyo, mwishowe kilicho chako huwa chako, ukitia bidii bila kupoteza kilichokupa motisha mwanzoni.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya motisha, bonyeza *811*815#. *811*815#.
"11 days to the closure of the 30-day exercise of registering voters. Apathy continues to meet the exercise. Only 495,000 people have registered as new voters against the target of about 6 million. And of course, the calls now are on IEBC to extend the voter registration exercise. We have details lined up for you tonight.
All right, plus we also got a very important conversation on Sunday Express tonight. I will be having a one-on-one with Joseph Musamba. He is an advocate of the High Court, but most importantly, he has authored a book by the title Safer's Code of Christ. We will be delving into this particular book and why it is important for you and I, and his journey into coming up with this piece of Christian literature a little bit later in the course of this particular broadcast. But once again, welcome. Let's kickstart this bulletin with the top stories. No to political intolerance.
8 people arrested over attack on Deputy President's convoy in Busia County.
Polio free.
Kenya joins world in marking World Polio Day.
Jailing mothers with young children.
Judiciary asked to consider non-custodial sentence for petty offenders.
Once again, welcome to the broadcast. My name is Serfine Ouma, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Byron Abuli.
My name is Jacob Kioria. Welcome to the broadcast. You can talk to us at KBC Channel 1, that is on Facebook, at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, at Kioria, at Serfine_Achieng. And we can start tonight's bulletin with the news that 8 people have been arrested in connection with chaos witnessed in Busia during Deputy President William Ruto's visit to the region on Saturday.
In sounding an alarm, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i said that more arrests will follow. Let's get this top story from Yusuf Farah.
Munakubali Malaba?
A day after a rowdy group attempted to block Deputy President William Ruto's motorcade in Busia County, some suspects are already behind bars.
The characters who are paying children of other citizens to cause violence and throw stones, we are telling you, shame on you.
Those arrested include Frederick Okoth, Ruben Baraza, Moses Oridi, Friday Ouma, Michael Omondi Alwando, George Dongo, David Ouma, and Wejuli Shalmin. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i says more arrests are on the way.
And I have asked the security team there to look for everyone who was involved in that organization, even if they are political leaders, whether they're elected members of parliament or not, I don't care. Arrest them, we take them to court. No one is allowed to disrupt meetings and we cannot allow those types of things to happen.
The government is warning instigators and perpetrators of political violence that they are being watched.
Disagreement or differences of opinion are not a good enough reason to bring about violence and cases of intolerance and restlessness.
On Saturday, Deputy President William Ruto, in condemning the violence, said such acts have no place in the current political dispensation. Yusuf reporting for Sunday Express.
Now moving on, Deputy President William Ruto has called on Kenyans to rally behind a people-centered political formation, warning that the country has failed to achieve its development goals because of wrong choices.
Ruto, who was in Kiambu County for the Thanksgiving service of a recently elected Kiamba MP Njuguna Wanjiku, drummed up support for the bottom-up economic model as Kenya's only path to transformation. With Mount Kenya promising to be the platform for the battle royale between Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga, Ruto is calling on Kenyans to be wary of the choices available at the ballot. The Deputy President said that the country had failed to achieve its development goals, calling on area residents to support the bottom-up economic model for transformation.
Mimi ninasema as a leader in this nation, if there is one critical issue we must deal with, ni kuhakikisha kwamba hawa vijana wetu tunawapangia mambo ya ajira ndio wasihangaike baada ya wao kupata masomo.
Ruto took a swipe at those he perceives as promoters of Odinga's philosophy within government.
We are a movement that accommodates everybody and every idea. We believe that a good idea must give way to a better idea, and a better idea must give way to the best idea, and that is how we are going to move forward together.
And responding to Odinga's claims that he had endeared himself to the people of the vote-rich mountain, the Deputy President dismissed the former Premier's effort as futile.
Sisi watu milioni 8 tulipiga kura tukaunda serikali 2013, tukapiga kura tukaunda serikali 2017. Ati sisi tumeishiwa kabisa na mpango, hatuna plan, mpaka twende tukodeshe mtu ya kitendawili ati kuja kuwa candidate yetu.
Leaders accompanying the Deputy President said Ruto can be trusted to form a no-inclusive government.
So the people Junet was talking to is not us. As we already know Raila Odinga and what he plans for us. But there are few people who do not know.
Junet is the only honest person in that fraternity hiyo ikina iko ile side. He is so honest to the Kenyan people that whatever they talk in secret, yeye haibaki hapo, anaileta hapa tuisikie.
Raila Odinga na serikali ya watu wa Nyanza, hii pande yetu ya hasla ni serikali ya kila mahali. Iwe Rift Valley, iwe Nyanza, iwe Coast, iwe Northeastern, hii serikali ya hasla ni ya kila mtu.
Still on that political note, a Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi has called on the youth to avoid being used as instruments of violence. Speaking in Rongai, Kajiado County, Mudavadi said politicians must desist from political intolerance and advance agenda-based politics. Kevin Washira with details of this story.
Musalia Mudavadi, accompanied by his allies, attended a church service at Harvest Family Church in Rongai, Kajiado County, and thereafter engaged the Rongai residents on matters 2022 general elections.
Mimi nataka niambie vijana, tunamtegemea. Ndio kwa sababu tunawaomba mtafute haraka wale wajajisajili wasajili. Tunataka kura yako iamue nani atakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The ANC brigade condemned perpetrators of violence and urged the youth not to be used by bad leaders.
Ukiona vile temperatures zimepanda Kenya hii, watu wanavurugana, uchumi umekuwa ngumu. Ule mtu ambaye tunahitaji kama rais ni mtu ambaye anaweza kutuliza maneno kama Rais Mwai Kibaki. Si kweli?
In Embu County, presidential hopeful Jimmy Wanjigi urged Kenyans to elect him, saying he has what it takes to fight graft.
Hiyo ndio tunasema ya kwamba hii si ODM. Hii ni ODM ya utapeli ambao umeingia. Mimi vile mimi naona hii utapeli na kiburi imeingia wakati tumeshikana mkono na Uruto.
Wanjigi spoke even as ODM leaders in Nyeri County continue to drum support for party leader Raila Odinga. The leaders said the youth must rise to the occasion in 2022. Kevin Washira, Sunday Express.
A very interesting story here related to politics. With only 11 days to the closure of the 30-day enhanced voter registration, calls for extension of the exercise are now being made. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has attributed the low turnout to voter apathy.
When it released its update a week ago on the ongoing voter registration exercise, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission stated that barely 492,000 new voters had been registered against a 2-week target of 3 million voters. This indicated a success rate of only 15%. It is against this background that calls have emerged for IEBC to extend the exercise if it's to hit its target of registering 6 million new voters.
Hawajaelimishwa vizuri umuhimu wa kupiga kura, kwa sababu zile wenye wamepiga kura waliambiliwa vitu mingi sana yenye hawakuona.
Tafadhali, wiki ni moja imebaki, na sababu IEBC ilipatiana indicator hakuna any other chance ya kuextend hii opportunity. Mimi nawaomba tafadhali mtoke mchukue kura zenyu mkae nayo.
Despite the apparent voter apathy, there are concerns that mobilization efforts, especially targeting the youth, have been inadequate. In Nairobi, a section of youth and a group dubbed Stragglers Movement have urged the youth to enlist themselves as voters if they are to be a voice of change in the upcoming elections and avoid the traditional last-minute rush.
We are going to mobilize all young Kenyans and in equal measure to register as voters, because their vote is their gun and they must use it together with their kitambulisho or ID.
Mayouth mtani, chukueni kadi, chukueni kura. Kama una ID, wasaidiwa, tuwasaidia, because at the end of the day, panga yetu ni kura yetu.
The calls for extension of the voter registration exercise with its attendant financial implications does not augur well with the commission that is already grappling with a tight budget dented by 14.5 billion shillings deficit.
This amount we're asking for is actually the bare minimum, and we're urging the National Treasury to provide sufficient funds so that the activities of the commission in managing the elections are not disrupted.
The commission is due to issue a status update on the exercise this Monday. For Sunday Express, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Moving on, it was World Polio Day today, and the Ministry of Health has maintained that Kenya remains polio-free. The head of public health, Dr. Francis Kioria, says recently detected mutant virus should not be a cause for alarm. Kioria says Kenya will soon deploy the new novel oral polio vaccine type 2 that is also able to address the circulating vaccine-derived mutants. Nancy Okware with that report.
Celebrations to mark this day were held in Nairobi. Rahul Bhavan is one of the polio survivors and the polio champion 2021. Polio took away his ability to speak well. The head of public health in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Kioria, says that despite recent cases of circulating vaccine-derived polio virus in the country is still polio-free, having eliminated the indigenous wild case in 1984.
Our last case of wild polio was in 1984. And we have not seen any other case of wild polio since then. But we have been recording cases of circulating vaccine-derived polio, which are emanating from importations from neighboring countries, especially Somalia. So yes, Kenya is still polio-free as we speak. And the only way we can maintain this is continuing immunization work.
Dr. Kioria says that the government and partners had so far increased surveillance and vaccination with the recent campaign between May and July, reaching 3.5 million children.
Words can only overcome the latest hurdles to reach the full eradication of polio if efforts to reach and vaccinate children receive resources and commitment from government, donors, multilateral organizations, and local communities.
And the last case of wild poliovirus type 3 was last reported in November 2012 in Nigeria. We are at the tail end to complete the eradication of polio from the face of the earth.
Kenya is among the countries that have been certified to use the new novel oral vaccine type 2 that is known to tackle the circulating vaccine-derived polio virus, but is yet to be deployed.
When we talk about the novel oral polio vaccine, is a new vaccine that has been stabilized against such mutations. That's the one we want to be using now against this vaccine-derived polio that we are reporting in the country.
Nancy Okware, Sunday Express.
Now let's focus on the COVID situation in the country. Kenya has recorded 44 new cases of COVID-19, one of the lowest figures reported in recent months. The Ministry of Health says the new cases were picked from 4,238 samples tested in the last 24 hours. The country's positivity rate is at 1%. The number of COVID-19 related deaths has risen by 2 as of October 23, 2021. 4.93 million people or vaccines had been administered across the country. Of this, 3.5 million are first doses, while those fully vaccinated are slightly above 1.4 million. The uptake of a second dose among those who received their first dose is at 38.7%. Globally, over 243 million people have been infected with the virus, and more than 4.94 million people have died, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. And our Kipsigis Girls High School has been closed indefinitely after students took to the streets of Kericho town to protest the transfer of the school's principal. Juliana Karui was transferred to Moi Girls Eldoret, and Christine Chumba of Moi Girls redeployed to Kipsigis Girls, a move that irked the students.
Over 900 students of Kipsigis Girls High School marched to the Kericho County Director of Education's office, chanting slogans and complaining about a raft of issues. Top among their grievances was the transfer of their school principal. The girls are opposed to the departure of Juliana Kirui, who has been transferred to Moi Girls Eldoret. Kipsigis Girls has since been closed indefinitely and students sent home. Area leaders have called on the Ministry of Education to handle with expediency the issues raised by the students.
I want to urge the Director of Education that they should resolve those issues with a lot of importance. A lot of research must be done, because I'm sure if they not be resolved well, then the unrest will continue. And I also want to thank the new principal, because we have a new principal now in the school, and I want to ask her to roll up her sleeves and see the issues, address them.
Away from that matter, a family is calling on well-wishers to volunteer information that may help them find their missing son. Jefferson Mwangi Matere went missing on the 14th of October after leaving work and didn't make it home. His family has since reported the matter to the police as they desperately search for him.
Year-old accountant left his office at the Mission for Essential Drugs organization along the Mombasa Road at 4:48 p.m. according to the CCTV footage, but did not make it home. His wife will then report the matter to the mother, who then followed it up with the office and the nearby police station.
We were shown the office CCTV. He logged out within the office at 4:36, walked out and left the gate at 4:48. We could see him walk towards the gate with a colleague. But when he walked out of the gate, he walked alone. And from there on, we don't know what happened to him. We've not been able to trace him.
10 days and desperate searches later, Jefferson is yet to be found.
We have followed up with hospitals, police stations, as well as mortuaries.
The mother is appealing to anyone who may have information that may lead to finding his son and reuniting with his family to come to their aid.
The wife is devastated. She has been in the search with me. Jeff has a small son who is 11 months old, and we are waiting for Jeff to come home. Anybody who might have seen something happen outside the office, or who might be accommodating Jeff, or anybody who is holding Jeff, please release my son back to me.
Any information on his whereabouts can be channeled to the Central Police Station on 0721 337 999 or Kamukunji Police Station on 0721 244 999. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express.
Question whereabouts of Jefferson Mwangi Matere would be a relief to his family. And you can see that distraught lady there. That means the agony that the family is dealing with is
going
quite
through right
huge.
now. In case you have any information of you seeing somebody who resembles him, you just report to the nearest police station so that you can help that family as they desperately look for their kin. We are now going to be taking a very short break, but when we come back, we still got more lined up for you. Remember that interview, I'll be having a one-on-one with Joseph Musamba. He's an author. I will be engaging him on how he came up with this particular book, The Safest Code of Christ. And of course, he's also an advocate of the High Court. So how is he balancing, being an author and an advocate? That and much more coming up after the break. Do stay with us.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kiboshi.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Kama ningekuwa sikujui vizuri, ningekuuliza umefanya nini? Lea mke wa Dingo aliyekufa.
Unajuaje labda hata nikikutana na mamako ndo utaunganisha nia wewe?
Babe, please, let's not do this.
Sio jidai paka mwitu. Mimi ni simba mwitu na msituni ndo nyumbani kwangu.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Express. Now, stakeholders in child welfare advocacy are challenging the judiciary to prioritize taking non-custodial measures for petty offenders with young families. According to Susan Njeri Waititu, who is a counseling psychologist, parental incarceration poses thousands of children to emotional, physical, educational and financial threats, impacting their general growth and development. Serfine Achieng has that report.
In Witeithia village, Juja sub-county within Kiambu County, Boniface Mburu is busy juggling between domestic chores and caring for his 1-year-old son. Boniface has had to be accustomed to this new way of life after his wife was arrested by county officials and charged with illegal dumping, and he was unable to raise the 250,000 Kenyan shillings fine which was required to secure her release.
Alikuwa ameshika tu karatasi kadogo hivi alikuwa anaenda kudump mahali sisi tuna dump takataka, lakini hakuwa ameona hiyo jina dumping juu kulikuwa usiku. Sasa ndio akaenda kotini akapigwa fine ya 1250 na nimejaribu sana hasa hizo pesa sizioni.
Boniface works as a mechanic, has not been able to go to work since he has no one else to take care of their son.
Saa zingine hata sometimes mtoto akilia asubuhi na shindako anamwachia nani, na inabidi tu tukae na yeye na inabidi tushinde tu kwa nyumba, saa zingine tunakosa chakula.
Their son was born with complication on both legs and requires regular medical checkups and treatment, but that too has had to be put on hold considering his financial woes.
Pia ningeomba kwa unyenyekevu mtu mwenye azanisaidia juu mtoto wangu ako na shida ya miguu ya APDK, juu nilishindwa hata kumpeleka hosi, alikuwa apelekwa hata hosi last week, nilishindwa juu ya kosa fedha.
The 2021 economic survey published by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that in 2020, a total of 86,119 people were committed to prison in Kenya, and while Persons Deprived of Liberty Act of 2014 allows mothers in prison to have their children accompany them until they attain the age of 4 years, the deplorable state in many correctional facilities exposes such children to a myriad of challenges, and as such, many parents prefer to leave their children at home. Estimates of the number of prisoners with dependable children still vary, but experts say that such forcible separation of a child from its parents negatively impacts the child's rights and well-being.
Some parents are locked in and the children are left at home, giving them a lot of suffering. And those children, mind you, some of them are in their formative years, which goes a long way to affect them in their later stages in life.
Susan Njeri Waititu, a counseling psychologist, is challenging the judiciary to consider taking non-custodial measures for petty offenders to protect the interests of children in the affected families.
These parents can do outside the courts. They can do maybe the manual jobs outside that would be accorded instead of being locked inside, for the sake of those children, for them to have good mental health as they're growing up.
She says that players in the criminal justice system must, on a need basis, understand the unique dynamics of the family in question and try to ensure a safety net for the child or children of incarcerated parents. Now to Mombasa County. Stakeholders at the Mama Ngina waterfront in Mombasa County have opposed attempts by local politicians to turn the tourist historic site into a hawking zone. The park, sitting on 26 acres overlooking the Kilindini Channel, has since 2019 been transformed into an integrated urban tourist attraction facility. There is, however, a push by a section of politicians in Mombasa to allow hawkers into the park in what locals have termed as a political gimmick.
Speaking to Channel 1, Presidency, unregulated business and other public activities would affect the aesthetic value of the iconic seaside park that was recently renovated and redeveloped by the government at a cost of 460 million shillings.
Fahari, bustani ya fahari katika Mombasa na vile vile pwani nzima kwa jumla. But sio tu Kenya pwani peke yake, bali hata Kenya mzima, kwa sababu tunapata wageni ambao kila siku wanaingia na kutoka na kufurahia bustani hii.
The Mama Ngina Waterfront Park, formerly the Mama Ngina Drive, a seafront open public space, has been a popular destination for foreign and local tourists over the years. Recently, the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs connected the park to the internet, turning it into a public Wi-Fi zone.
Vile tuna jumba ambalo linakusudiwa kuwa la kitamaduni, jumba ambalo litakuwa linaweza kuchukua tamaduni za Kiswahili watu huweza kuelewa haswa historia na utamaduni kamili wa Mswahili.
National Coordinator of Mama Ngina Waterfront Park, Ali Noor, says the project was designed to support tourism activities and not a business center, noting allowing hawkers would potentially degrade the appeal of the park as a tourist site. Rehema Hamisi says the waterfront is an open space which acts as a recreation spot for locals.
Tumefurahi kufika hapa, eneo kama hili kuwa ni sehemu nzuri kuleta watoto, pia tufurahi kulivyotengezwa, kuondolewa kwa mahoka, hakuna tena kusumbuliwa. Jambo limetufurahisha.
On weekends, the facility gives a platform to food vendors, showcasing different kinds of coastal delicacies, making it a culinary delight that is attracting both local and international visitors who are thronging the venue to sample the delicacies.
Now, group-based funding, commonly referred to as table banking, has been hailed as a game changer in the financial empowerment of women across the country. In Turkana County, more women are reaping the benefits of financial autonomy thanks to the noble financial concept. KBC's Nancy Okware recently traveled to Turkana to witness firsthand the economic transformation that has been made possible by table banking.
Behind a church in the remote village of Kaloboye, Turkana County, we catch up with the Kalabokari Table Banking Group. Established in July 2021, the group meets here every 10th day of the month to carry out its table banking transactions. On this day, members of the group of 15 are refunding their loans, but with interest.
Pesa yenye tumepata leo, yenye tumerudisha loan, ni shilingi 1,173,65. Ile pesa ambayo tumeweka kama kawaida yetu ya monthly contribution ni shilingi 6,000 na shilingi 100.
After balancing the books, any member in need of a loan can put in a request, though the availability of credit will depend on the amount of loan service today.
Ulikuwa unataka pesa ngapi? 20. Anataka 20.
Christine Lokol.
Huyu anaitwa Christine Lokol. Ulikuwa unataka ngapi? Anataka 30.
Today, the demand for credit outweighs the available float, so a decision is made and priority is given to those in dire need.
Kwa hivyo kama huyu yako na shida, at least na yako ni kidogo kiasi, unaweza vumilia upate pesa mwezi kesho, tulia, wacha mwenye yako na shida kubwa leo aweze kuchukua ajisaidie naye.
The rest are urged to try their luck next month.
Akiru.
Jamila Akiru says this financial concept has been a blessing to her. She tells us that table banking has enabled her open a shop and provided her with some financial independence.
Msiwe mnakaa tu nyumbani ukiongojea ati msee alete pesa, ati uongoje sijui msee alete chakula ya watoto, lakini afungue akili, aingie kwa hii magrupi ya wanawake hii. Itaweza kukusaidia hata utashika pesa yenye msee huwa anakunyima, wewe mwenyewe unashika yako.
Over the last 1 year, the government, through the Kenya Development Response to Displacement Impacts Project, has pumped some 324 million shillings into some 648 groups in Turkana County.
We are targeting 34 sub-locations in Turkana. And, people, we are targeting both urban and rural. So it depends with the business. You can find their businesses that are working well in urban areas. There are businesses also that are working well in rural areas.
The groups engage in different income-generating activities, such as poultry farming, such as this one. The Narubu Poultry Field School Self-Help Group owns some 106 chicken.
We've been selling broilers, wale wanyama. Na zile layers, hizo mayai, tunauza. Alafu kuna ile ambao wao mwenyewe ukiuza sako, kuna kitu wao unachukua huko, certain commission. And then hizo zingine unaleta kwa group.
Unlike Narubu, Alakara Self-Help Group chose soap making as a means to financial independence.
Sisi tunaenda unauza sabuni.
ile 20 iko juu, hiyo inakusaidia kufikia jioni mtoto amepata chakula. Halafu tena hii pesa sisi tunakopesha, shule ikifunguliwa tunakopesha, unapeleka mtoto kwa shule.
A similar initiative by the government is ongoing in the counties of Garissa and Wajir. More and more people, especially women from this county, have been empowered through working in groups, a move that has seen a shift from the conventional dependency to independence. Nancy Okware reporting for KBC from Kakuma, Turkana County.
Nothing holds true more than the statement that empowering a woman is empowering the entire society. Now, Narok County Governor Samuel Oletenai has called on the Kalenjin and Maasai communities living in Emuru Dikir to coexist peacefully. Tenai challenged leaders from the area to desist from divisive politics ahead of the 2022 polls.
Speaking during a fundraiser for 55 churches in Emuru Dikir, Tunai said for residents to grow economically, peace is paramount and should be guarded by all means.
You need peace. Na ndio nataka to invest kabisa katika amani. Ndio mweze kufanya hiyo biashara yenu. Na mlime mashamba.
Elsewhere, 40 people have been arrested in a police crackdown on bars operating beyond stipulated time in Maralal Town, Samburu County. The suspects, who secured freedom on police cash bail and free bond, will be arraigned before a Maralal court.
Ile ingefaa kuhimiza wananchi au wenye biashara wa baa ni apate kutii sheria ya kufunga ikifika saa 5. Wafunge baba sao na watu waende nyumbani.
Elsewhere, a 22-year-old man is nursing serious injuries at the Mwingi Level 4 hospital after he was allegedly beaten by police officers. Police are yet to respond to the claims.
Sasa huyo jamaa akaachwa na mimi hapo na askari wengine 3. Najua ameanza kunichapa. Wakanichapa. Nikawaambia mimi sina kisu, kusema kweli. Hata mimi kinichapa, mimi sina kisu. Anajua mimi mtoa mimi akaniambia nitoe nguo. Mimi nikaanza kuchapwa nikiwa sina nguo hata moja.
Meanwhile, European Union Ambassador to Kenya, Henriette Jeja, has challenged the media and civil society organizations to responsibly disseminate factual information to the public ahead of the general elections. Ambassador Jeja regretted that the space for the media and CSOs was increasingly facing limitations globally and announced the EU's current commitment to intervene.
How you report, what you report on, and it's very key that everybody in this country is well informed.
Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Sunday Express.
Well, at this point, we're taking another breather. When we come back, Serfine Achieng will be speaking to Joseph Musamba, who is a Christian author and also a lawyer. Get to learn a thing about about his writings. That is coming up right after this breather.
Holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority on or before November 1st, 2021. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www.holders.ufaa.go.ke and get started. Beat the November 1st, 2021 deadline. It's your turn. Pass the baton. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us in studio. I'm having a sit down with Joseph Musamba, a lawyer and also an author. He has just been sharing with me how long it took him to come up with his book, The Seafarer's Code of Christ. 3 good years of putting this piece together, and this is what we want to talk about, and his journey transitioning and even just balancing between being an advocate of the High Court and an author. How has the experience been? What is the book about? What can we learn from him? Thank you so much for creating time for us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Serfine.
All right, so let's begin by, I don't know whether to start from this book, or let me begin by what really inspired you. So for 20 years, you were along the corridors of justice, and something happens, and today you're here, sitting here, wearing the title of an author of Christian literature. Tell us a little bit about what really happened.
Yes, thank you once again. The journey to this book has not been designed from the very beginning. It was actually accidental, if I may say so. The reason being that at the time I started writing this thing, I was in a very low point in my life where I had virtually given up on the main things in life, and I had rejected most of the things that people consider important, until just one day, out of the blues, it occurred to me that perhaps there's more to life than the routine things we do, than waking up. And of course, growing up as a child, I had always had belief in Christianity, because I come from a Christian background. But I had, like everybody else, been having flimsy knowledge of the Bible. I'd never really bothered to go deep into the Bible. The most we get is maybe what we hear on TV on Sundays, or read in the newspapers, or priests go through in church. I'd never really sat down until at the time I was writing this book. I was actually more into drinking and into the happy things of life. And somehow one day I was told, or I saw I was working on some project somewhere in Makueni, and in the matatu I was traveling in, there was this poster that was a quote from the 2 Corinthians 3:16, which says that, don't you know that your body is a spirit of God? At the time I was looking forward to having my evening drink, and I got me reflecting, perhaps there's more to life, and I started investigating and reading the Bible, and suddenly it dawned on me that perhaps there's more to life than just living a happy life. I got to reading the Bible, and I was led along the way. I must say it's all in the book. I'm working on my second book to give more information on that. And 3 years later, from 96 to 2019, my book is now out. The book was out. Yes.
All right. So this was not planned. You were not initially, as a young man, thinking that one day I will become an author and, write Christian literature for that matter. So it came to you by accident.
Absolutely not planned. I with the benefit of hindsight, I can say it was not planned. In fact, sometimes I read the things that I've written in my book, and I wonder if it is me who was writing these things, because you will realize if you see this book, obviously, that what it contains is by far the greatest information since the resurrection. To the Christian faith, it is by far the greatest information since the resurrection of Jesus. So you can imagine something of that magnitude is something I would not have imagined in my wildest imagination.
That you can never do.
Absolutely.
All right, so you say you settled for this interesting title, The Seafarer's Code of Christ. I want you to decode this for us. Many would find it a bit heavy. Talk to us about what is the message you're trying to address in this book, and who is your target for this particular content?
The Seafarer's Code of Christ, itself is a clinical or a scientific. The book itself it may sound highly religious, it is extremely scientific, but do not let the title mislead you. Seafarer's Code of Christ is another name for the sign of Jonah. Now, the sign of Jonah is a phrase that was created by Jesus Christ himself, that is found in the Bible. It is found in the book of Matthew 12, verses 39 to 40. Now, the definition for the sign of Jonah itself is given by Jesus in Matthew 12:40. And in that definition, Jesus says, he compares himself to Jonah, who is an Old Testament prophet, and says, just like Jonah was in the belly of the fish, so shall he, that is Jesus, be in the heart of the earth. Now, for 2,000 years, or for as long as the Bible has been existing, it was not clear what Jesus meant by this word, by the sign of Jonah, until when I was looking at the Bible, just before I started writing this book, I looked at the numbers. By numbers, I mean the verse numbers and the chapter numbers of the Bible. And suddenly, as clear as daylight, you see the sign of Jonah displayed in the Bible. And one of the reasons Jesus gave the sign of Jonah was because the Pharisees and the scribes kept pestering him for a sign. They were telling him, you claim to be the Son of God. Show us a sign that you're the Son of God. And Jesus casually told them, dismissed them, and told them, no sign shall be shown to you except the sign of Jonah. And then, of course, he goes ahead to define the sign of Jonah. So once we looked, and this is pretty interesting, because you will find that the chapter numbers and the verse numbers in the Bible have always, since they were inserted into the Bible, been assumed to be random numbers. And everybody, I don't think there's any serious Bible scholar who will assign any divinity to these numbers. But if you look at them, it is clear that they are not only divine, they are actually very careful and hidden.
It's strategic.
Yes.
It's intentional.
Yes, it is intentional. Creation by Jesus himself. And that is what is surprising, because if we look at them, we discover what is called the sign of Jonah.
All right. Sorry, I'm taking you a bit faster on this, but from my interaction with the book, and I must confess I haven't really gone so far with it. It's not content you interact with in a single day. It's content you consume, progressively. The picture I'm getting, the concept I'm getting from what the book is addressing is a much more deeper understanding of the content of the Holy Book, a realization that there is a meaning that has not been prioritized or discovered by what people really know or think about the content of the book. Talk to us about what inspired you to bring out this depth of meaning in the content that is contained in the Holy Book. What inspired you to do that, and even to begin to explain the relationship between what is happening in a particular season to what happened before, and even the numbers and what they mean and how they are related? What inspired you to go that direction as you authored this book?
Yes. Like I said, initially I was not inspired, but of course, with time, as I started writing the book, you will. If you said you have not read it much, but I'm sure you perhaps will do so. You will discover that in this book it contains various resolutions of mysteries that themselves are over 2,000 years old, because it resolves some of the mysteries of Jesus and his words when he walked, which is almost 2,000 years ago. What inspired me, if I can say, is you will find that people are randomly editing the Bible. People are making insertions into the Bible and claiming revisions that are not consistent with the Word of God. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, there is one verse in the Bible which this book revolves around that verse, and that verse is Revelation 5:1. If you look at the Revelation 5:1, it talks about a book of God that was the book of Revelation in the first place is written by John. John was one of the apostles of Jesus, and in Revelation 5:1, he was shown a book of God that was sealed with 7 seals. Now, ever since this book of Revelation was written, that particular verse and that particular book, or even those particular seals, have remained a mystery. Now, it is not until last year, when this book is published, that we have been able to scientifically solve that mystery. We now know with scientific proof what that book of God is. We know with scientific proof what those 7 seals are. So you can see obviously the importance of this book.
All right.
So that means that in effect means that we can now compare the I would say the spurious translations of the Bible with the book of God, and we can tell this Bible is inspired and this Bible is not inspired. And because right now we know the book of God, we can identify it, we know who wrote it, and we can even identify each of those 7 seals.
All right.
That is the importance of the book.
Joseph, so what does it take to put this together? And you've just told us that your background majorly is in law. Did you go to a theology class? You know, just putting all this together, the letters, the words, the chapters, the pages, 250 pages of such content. How much work does it go into doing this?
It took me 3 years, 3 years of writing this book. But obviously, you will see that the content we cover the entire Bible from the book of Moses, from the book of, Genesis, which was written by Moses, to the last book of Revelation. That is a total of 66 books. Initially, the Bible had 80 books, but 14 books were plucked out for reasons, of course, that are explained in the book. One of the reasons that how I managed to come up with a book.
No background of theology in doing all this? You sunk deep and actually managed to do this together.
Yes, and I must say that the reasons why I have been able to do that is that this book is not based on any theology. This book is scientific. In fact, if I was to put it, it is more legal. It is like a legal submission from heaven, because that exactly is what it is, for the simple reason that most of the things that we have for the last 2,000 years that we've been told that, for example, let me give you by way of example. If you look at Matthew 16 verses 13 to 19, Jesus Christ told Peter that I will make you the rock of my church. What Jesus meant by those words has never been understood to date. But here we casually explain to you that when Jesus was making Peter the rock of his church, he was referring nothing else apart from the Bible numbers, and this we do so scientifically. And in particular, he was making reference to Matthew 16:16, and that forms the blueprint of the sign of Jonah, and we have explained it quite elaborately and scientific in this book.
Do you have a feeling like sometimes people don't really give justice in consuming the content of the Holy Book?
Absolutely. In fact, I will tell you that outrightly that the very idea of the Bible today, if you look at the churches on the decline, the reading of the Bible is not only misconceived, it is intentionally tailored to extort money from people who are rejecting the word of God. And I will tell you, and this is why I must thank KBC. Before I came to KBC, I did have some chat with very serious media houses, and outrightly, they did not even consider, they did not even take a moment to consider this book. I will tell you for a fact that the word of God, and in particular the word of the divinity of Jesus, has been rejected and is being rejected. But lucky enough, we now have what I would say a resurrection of the Bible. In fact, from the year 2000, I can comfortably say we now have scientific proof that Jesus is not only the Son of God, but that God himself exists and he works above our time. And all this is scientific, is now put into science in this book.
All right. Joseph, we've run out of time for this conversation. Of course, we cannot conclude and talk about it enough in this particular setting. Just your final words, in case one is interested. Where can they find it?
Yes, the book is if you Google the book, is the Cephas Code of Christ. If you Google it, you will find it. It's readily available on Amazon. I'm trying to get a few copies so that it can be available locally on Jumia, hopefully in a week's time. What I would say is this, is that for those who have doubted that there's the existence of God, we now have scientific and written proof that we have a God in heaven and who would be way beyond our knowledge. And obviously, who cares for us.
All right, thank you so much, Joseph Musamba, for creating time for us. Author of The Cephas Code of Christ, a book that he says actually brings to light some of the hidden mysteries of what is contained in the Holy Book. Of course, we were just having a one-on-one with him to understand his journey into writing this particular book and how he has also transitioned from being a lawyer to an author today. He has his second book on the way. That is something also to look forward to. We are now going to be taking a very short break, but do stay with us. Still more coming ahead. The latest in the world of sports coming your way shortly.
Kama ningekuwa sikujui vizuri, ningekuuliza umefanya nini? Lea mke wa Dingo aliyekufa.
Unajuaje labda hata nikikutana na mamako ndo utaunganisha nia huko?
Babe, please, let's not do this.
Sio jidai paka mwitu. Mimi ni simba mwitu na msituni ndo nyumbani kwangu.
Time for us to do sports now. And FKF Cup champions Gor Mahia advanced to the second round of the CAF Confederation Cup preliminary round after Sudan's Al-Ahli Meroe withdrew from the continental competition. Gor Mahia trounced the Sudanese side 3-1 in their first leg played in Egypt.
Gor Mahia had taken a 3-1 lead from the first leg played in Suez, Egypt last week and needed any kind of draw at home to progress to the second round. However, the match was later cancelled by the CAF Sunday this morning after the Sudanese club failed to travel to Kenya.
It's a plus to us because CAF ni journey, so this is our first second round. So we hope we'll get a good team when the draws are done. Then we can qualify again for the group stage.
CAF has requested the host federation to proceed with the payment of all financial dues to the officials. The African Football Governing Body said a detailed decision will be communicated to all parties in due course.
We have been looking forward to that because some of us, we are really used to our Green Army singing. They are encouraging us. But for the last 1 year and a half, it has not been there. And we have missed it. So I must say thanks, big thanks to the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Sports, the Federation, and now to the clubs. It is going to be a big challenge.
Kogalo will now face one of the 16 teams which will be eliminated in the CAF Champions League first round in a draw set to be held next week. Daniel Mwendwa, Sports.
And now Kenya's Medalta Glenda grabbed the lead for the first time as compatriot Joyce Durango stumbled to fourth after round 7 in the women's section at the ongoing World Amateur Chess Championship in Rhodes Island, Greece. Medalta defeated Maria Trivela of Greece and Durango fell to Denia Sukulova of Kazakhstan on boards 2 and 1 respectively. Medalta is tied at 5.5 points with Trivela. Mahugo Hill, Jackson Dego and Sasha Mongeli also registered wins in their categories. It was the second time Kenya scored below 50% of 11 points up for grabs per round. 11 players are representing Kenya at the World Chess Amateur Championship, which will end on October 26th. Embu golfers have been urged to popularize the sport of golf in the region. Speaking when he toured Embu Golf Range, the chairman of Embu Golfers, Joe Kathangu, said they will be engaging other players from different regions so that they can have a feel of different golf courses. His sentiments were echoed by Joseph Musamba, who revealed that by December they are targeting to have 4 golf holes at Embu Golf Range to enable people participate in the sport. David Njoroge, who is the captain of the Embu Golfers, said the challenge they face is lack of a new golf course and also enough green to facilitate playing of golf.
Huu mchezo ni wa kila mtu, tajiri, maskini, mtu wa katikati, yeyote yule. Na tena hii mchezo uzuri wake ni kwamba inaweza chezwa na mtu wa umri yoyote, bora awe anaweza tembea.
Before we put a cap on Sunday Express, quite an interesting thing was happening this evening. Old Trafford was raining of goals. Manchester United raining because they lost 5-0 to Liverpool. So nothing on their end.
Somebody said this scores are suddenly turning into like netball, like, you know, the netball scores. Yesterday Chelsea 7, you know, like we're not used to such numbers when it comes to football.
Clearly,
I don't know what's happening.
This is where you invoke stop the count.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your company as always. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma, and our sign language interpreter for tonight has been Byron Abule.
My name is John Jacob Kioria. Have yourself a fantastic week ahead. See you on Wednesday on Prime Edition. But of course, we still got more lined up for you tomorrow, from Good Morning Kenya all the way to News Check, Tamarini, the lunchtime news, as well as Darubini and Prime Edition tomorrow.
Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement,